Yes. I'm just wanting to know the state compensation programs are represented by the National Association of Crime Victim Compensation Boards. Yeah. The NACVCB. Oh, now could you get me the employees of those? I understand that these compensation programs. Yes. Just reading about it. Yes. I've often mentioned that I wanted the victims' rights and resources, and you said, well, we don't have to enforce the laws. I emailed numerous crime victim compensation attorney generals in each and every state. Yes. And there are, well, at the time of the printing of this, 1996 state compensation programs paid approximately $240 million to 110,000 victims nationwide. I realize that's 23 years ago. Why don't you get me the actual identity of every victim that received any compensation from any state of the United States? Now, 10 states pay less than $500,000 annually, and about 15 pay more than $3 million. Yes. You know, when you don't protect the rights of children and you don't enforce the Bill of Rights, yes, in the state of Washington, yes, then you don't enforce the Child Bill of Rights. And then you allow for the fraud and the forgery of issuing court orders and dissolutions of marriage. And I send you an email, Washington State. Now, this established a $150,000 cap for medical injuries. Yes. I thought for sure, just looking at this ten to $25,000. Yes. You know, that would pay for a hotel room for a few nights. Yes. Could probably support my sons and Marilyn and her kids. Now, I know she's going to want some of this crime victim compensation. Yes. And because, they started this years ago, 1964. And I had I had been reading the Peninsula Daily News. Yes. And they thought it was funny putting the names of my sons in the actual newspaper. Yeah. But the news media, the victim service and mental health professions, reporters, photographers, camera persons, editors are confronted with a daily barrage of violence and tragedy. Yes. Now, state public policy leaders, media representatives. See, the United States Supreme Court has made clear efforts to provide legislative protections of victims' privacy. Now, since my sons weren't there and you issued it for 10 years, and you used a forgery, so I had said I don't want my name in the newspaper. And you decided to victimize and cause violence to little children in libraries because you just had to arrest me. Yes. And then you decided to cause violence to children in the Squim Public Library. Yes. And you decided to cause violence to my five sons because their mother wasn't in court. Yes. And you took it upon yourselves to put their names in newspapers because of their athletic record. Yes. Where I emailed you and said, well, they're being retarded. Now, these papers, known as the Peninsula Daily News, yes, there's certain privacy concerns that I have as a father. Yes. See, it seemed to me that somebody was always getting paid. Yes. University departments of journalism should incorporate curricula that teach students about sensitivity to victims in the news media's coverage of crime. Or should that be the sensitivity of victims that happen to play football, coach, or basketball? Ooch. Now, this Handbook of Crime Victims in the Media, published by the National Victim Center in 1989. Yes. Why don't you get me a copy of that? Because when you put them in the WIAA, and you think, well, it's not abusive to children to have them in the wrong grades. Yes. I think it is, and I think it's abusive to them to not include them in court hearings when they're over the age of 14. Yes. Refuse to remove dissolutions of marriage right now. Now, I told you I wanted an actual phone call. Yes. Well, I'm thinking I'm suing each and every newspaper of the United States that has any Associated Press, of this thought that we can issue court orders where their mother wasn't there. And then how did you treat them? Did you rub it in their noses, in their faces that, oops, we issued that for 10 years? Or did they find out that you arrested me on their 14th birthday and laughed your asses? Oops. Did you intentionally cause violence to myself and my kids? I'm going to want those victims' resources from every state of the United States and the actual identities and the amounts paid and how much is available and what are the state limitations on. I got a lot of medical expenses and I think I'll take that $150,000 cap and get myself some new teeth because I'm telling the state of Washington, get me the actual newspapers of the United States. Get me the Associated Press and their ethical guidelines. Give me the university and college journalism programs because I did email universities and college journalism right now.